Hey everybody, this is Ray Flip, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool. Welcome you back once again to our weekly recap review of The Walking Dead Season 8. And we are taking a look at last night's penultimate episode of the season, Worth. Let me just start off by telling you what my expectation is of a penultimate episode before a big season finale setup is that are you essentially getting me in the right mindset to go, wow, I cannot wait for the week or 2 weeks before the season finale? From that standpoint, right off the bat, this episode did an excellent job. It has me wanting the next. I wish Walking Dead was 2 hours. And I'll have to be honest with you, I get on the show sometimes for its extended episodes. Last night was one of those that I wish had continued and we'd gotten the wrap up. That's what a great job I thought they did. Not getting a lot of answers, but again, getting all of our players in play for the last big hurrah, which from what I understand is supposed to be something like 80, 85 minutes next week, which we'll talk about in a second. But just to give you a brief little recap, probably the best way for me to phrase this is I would subtitle it How Negan Got His Groove Back, because really, essentially, that's what this episode was about. Negan found a way to take care of the Simon situation, which was essentially use Dwight to sell Simon out, so Simon essentially gets an opportunity to fight to be head of the Saviors, but you know where that's going to go. We realize, not realize, we're reminded that Lucille is a very cool, intimidating prop, but Negan's got a lot of skills beyond just Lucille, and Simon learns that firsthand. The Dwight situation wasn't something I saw coming at all. Not that I didn't see it coming at some point, but I wasn't expecting it to be that big twist at the end where it was just like, hey, Dwight, thanks. You think I think you're cool, so I'm going to use you to take out Simon. Oh, and by the way, now I'm going to use you to take out the rest of the Hilltop. Because, no surprise, kind of what I thought was last week, turns out it was Lori who Negan picked up and just told him everything about Dwight. So he essentially uses Dwight, who gives information to Gregory to give back to the Hilltop, to establish some humongous ambush, because it's Negan's role right now, straight out. His thing is he's wiping everybody out. He says that very matter-of-factly to Michonne at the end. At the end of the episode, when Michonne is reading Carl's letter to him and saying what the possibilities and are, we see a Negan right now where Rick was about a couple episodes ago. It's interesting enough to know that as he took out Simon and now has Simon as a walker, attached to the front of the fence. Very interesting that he's adopted Simon's attitude of, we're just going to wipe you all clean and I'm just going to start fresh. There are a lot of factors that are going to come into play that I think are going to complicate that. Along with that, we had a couple of side storylines which I thought were also very important. Aaron continues to do his best Bear Grylls by just going nuts in the woods and killing walkers and just seriously going off the deep end to convince Oceanside to come and fight on their side. And it looks like it might have actually worked. And of course, Eugene, who's doing his one-man campaign job to become the one person I need to see die more than anybody else next week. I don't even want Negan to die. Eugene, though, I need him to eat a bullet, because he just has lived up to everything that I don't like about him. Not that I don't like the character, not that I don't love Josh McDermitt, because I think he does a fantastic job, but I think the way he's portraying Eugene is done in such an effective manner that I'm really, really looking for him to get hurt. I completely agree with everything that Rosita said about him this entire run. He's weak, he's cowardly, he will do anything to survive and will sell at anybody, and it's just, yes, he has that nagging ego and all those concerns and everything like that, but at the end of the day, he just really makes bad, selfish decisions. My glimmer of hope is that at the end when he says to Gabriel, like, look, you're going to do everything I tell you to the T, as I tell you specifically, no questions. And the fact that he's bringing Gabriel back into the ammo making, I'm hoping his seemingly recommitment to making ammo for Negan is literally just a cover, and Eugene's finally, as he says, going to do something with his pathetic life and do something right. Because he can say as much as he wants to about Rick. Rick is the excuse he needs to sleep at night and not drink so much wine. Because at the end of the day, all of this comes down to the choices that Eugene made and nobody else. It simply comes down to that. So, again, I thought that was very effective. I thought there was a very interesting sub-storyline. The use of projectile vomiting on Eugene's part to get out of there I thought was especially good. The other aspect to it we had is the issue of Rick finally getting around to reading Carl's letter. And on the live blog last night, I posted what the full text of the letter was. You can also check out earlier last week, I also posted something about where the wording of the letter too. So again, I think you should definitely read it. It's very, very effective. And I thought one of Chandler Riggs' best acting, and it's strictly just done by reading it. Side note, saw this on Talking Dead last night. Andrew Lincoln actually had an earbud in his ear while he was reading it to kind of add to the emotional impact. Again, I will say this, an overall strong episode because I don't know where things are going to go next week. I give this a solid straight A because at this point, okay, is Negan's plan going to work? Is what he said to Michonne at the end of the episode going to get her to question, like, wait, maybe this is too much of a setup? We see Dwight sporting a Daryl look-alike outfit, so we have to be concerned from that standpoint. There are so many things that can come in play. We see that Jadis is going to be a factor. We see that Oceanside is going to be a factor. All of that has got me set up for this. So right off the bat, as I said, this episode did a really good job. But beyond that, we saw some amazing acting in this episode. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I think sometimes we jokingly write off Jeffrey Dean Morgan as like, well, he's just going to be Jeffrey Dean Morgan, sometimes in a suit, sometimes a leather jacket. And I know Rampage, and I see the trailer, I'll be the first one to say it. I don't think it does a really good job in breaking that myth because it really just does and sounds like Negan in a suit. All power to him. Collect the paycheck, Jeff. I don't blame you. But I thought Jeffrey Dean Morgan showed a lot of layers in this episode to his acting. From hurt to anger to psychotic to just straight out just the tension and the anguish on his face as Michonne was reading that letter. I would instruct you to go back and check that out again. It was just fantastic. Special props to Ross Marquand, who I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Aaron, I think, has just stepped up his game big time, and his performance last night, I think, is absolutely deserving of merit. It just, again, across the boards, I think he did a fantastic job. I can't give Josh McDermitt enough credit for playing a character who I hate, and yet I love the character and I love his performance. So I think that speaks a lot to him. Rosita, Christina Serratos, we got to do more with her. I was afraid she was going to get killed last night. I'm still afraid she's not going to make it out of the season. I hope she does because I think Rosita is a character that still hasn't even come close to being tapped into yet. So I'd like to see more of that too. Are there any problems with the episode? Again, I don't think it needed to go an hour and 15. In all honesty, last night did feel like it was more advertising episode than it felt like a viewer episode. But at least what we got was quality. This was one of those episodes where even the subplots worked in conjunction with the main storyline. And it was nice to see it being Negan-centered before we get into next week's season finale. Season finale. So yeah, fantastic episode. I thought they did a great job. Go back and see it because, again, I think this has now been a 4-episode run, and I like thematically what they've been concentrating on for each of these. I think it gives them a good setup. I'm hoping it pays off because that's the only thing. You walk a high wire like this, the expectation for that season finale is going to be huge. And let's be honest, comic book fans, television fans, the expectation of All Out War and Negan and the Saviors, we have a high expectation that essentially everything and anything is going to hit the fan next week. So, guys, thank you for joining me. Excellent episode. Again, I would give it a good solid 8. It had me the entire time, and especially that, even though eventually I knew it was coming, that whole thing where just he at Dwight's place, and it's just like, yeah, I got you too, son. It just was such a nice touch for last night's episode. Really, really impressed. So again, 8. My name is Ray Flip, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool. I do The Walking Dead and now also Fear the Walking Dead coverage. I'm saying that for a cheap plug because this Sunday, the 15th, we're going to be doing something special. We're still working out the details. But we're going to be doing something special for the Season 8 finale of The Walking Dead, which is going to segue right into the Season 4 opener of Fear the Walking Dead. And we're getting the show crossover with Morgan and Lenny James. So that's going to be very, very exciting. And they've got some guests lined up for The Talking Dead afterwards. I know Andrew Lincoln and Lenny James are lined up. I know there are 2 representatives from Fear the Walking Dead. I'm sure there's going to be some guest appearances as we roll a lot closer. So, but again, thank you for joining me, guys. Really appreciate it on this. It's Monday morning. Kind of liking this Monday morning vibe. I'm going to have to do more of these more often. But again, my name is Ray Flip for Bleeding Cool on behalf of the Weekly Static team, which is Rocky, Trejo, Batmer, and Margot Stanton. I wish you guys a great start to your week, and I will see you on bleedingcool.com. Take care.